Ladies and gents, how you doing? I've had a medical emergency. I'll share details of that with you in a bit. It's not as big a deal as it sounds, but I feel like I need to inform my audience about it. Before I do that, though, here's the breaking story of the hour. A British man's going viral after telling a TV host that he doesn't feel safe in London. Let's see what happens, shall we?
Are you really saying you'd be at less of a risk there than you would be in Tower Hamlets? On what basis?
Well, I've been stabbed twice in London. That's
Right.
the basis. There you go.
It's a big city.
So,
Sadly, that happens sometimes.
Yeah, unlucky, mate. Well, you've been stabbed twice. Unlucky, knobhead. I love that. That's amazing, isn't it? Why did I show you that? Well, it's related to what I'm going to talk about because Rupert Lowe and his party have been very, very busy for the last 48 hours. And I'm just going to show you just three of the things he's put out there in the last day to let you know what they're all about. A Restore Britain government would immediately legislate to ensure that if an intruder breaks into your home and threatens your family, what happens to them is their problem. Brilliant. Tell me more, Rupert. Any teacher, medical professional, or individual in any position of authority who encourages a child to mutilate themselves would be prosecuted under a Restore Britain government. They would go to prison. Boys are boys, girls are girls. Really, Rupert, that you do surprise me. And for tweet number 3, let's go with Restore Britain will put the safety and well-being of British women ahead of third world sex pests who have broken into our country and are freely roaming the streets. We do not give a shit about their human rights. They will all be deported immediately. Well, if that's not 3 statements of intent, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what is. That is marvellous. Now, on a more somber note, let's just get it out the way. What was my medical emergency? An erection lasting 24 hours is a medical emergency known as a priapism, specifically ischemic priapism, and it requires immediate emergency medical attention. Yeah, because I put Rupert Lowe's X feed on at about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and I've had a fatty on ever since. Right then, just a little gag that, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't had, no, I'm past 40. It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen unless I was injecting, 2 pints of liquid Viagra directly into my ball sack. So just having a bit of fun there, lads. But I do want to point out, on a serious note, this has been fantastic stuff in the last 24 hours. And you will notice that as a direct result of it, look what Zia put out there today.
Yes, we need to embark upon mass deportations. That is no longer a controversial position. I mean,
of people that have been here for a long, long time.
If your status is illegal, we're clear about this. You should expect to be deported.
Legal, but you haven't integrated, you don't speak English, and you are colonising your own local area.
Well, that's where our indefinite leave to remain policy comes into play. So what we have said is our expectations, and Nigel's expectations as Prime Minister of migrants in this country on ILR, will be, number 1, that you speak English to a good standard. Number 2, because the current standard of English requirement, by the way, is a joke. It's nowhere near, so it needs to be a higher standard. We've been clear about that. Number 2, you cannot commit crime. And number 3, you need to more than pay your way, right? You need to be a net positive contributor to the economy. And that manifests in the form of a materially higher contribution payment, minimum salary requirement. Yes, we'll have things like spousal routes and things like that. That will almost certainly result in a significant portion of people needing their state. They will be given a period of chance to leave the country.
Be at the helm of that, because it's not going to make you particularly
Camilla, we don't
popular.
have a choice. The Boris wave is going to cost hundreds of billions of pounds, and that's not even in the OBR's numbers. People watching this program who pay their taxes, you cannot expect them to, having voted, by the way, for less immigration, for this immigration to have happened, which isn't, frankly, even the fault of the people who arrived. It's the fault of the politicians who allowed it to happen and betrayed the voters. To now expect this country to lurch into, I think, fiscal oblivion if these decisions are not made, I think is unacceptable. So, yes, there are going to be very difficult decisions that need to be made, and we've been crystal clear that we will make them.
We've been crystal clear that we're going to make them. So already, seems like Rupert's pulled reform to the right, hasn't he? Seems like the people, the movers and shakers behind the scenes there, have noticed that we didn't want any of the people that have moved to the UK in the last 10 years. We didn't want them. The UK's been anti-immigration since mid-2000s. Mandelson and Blair were still in office, and they were doing the media rounds and saying, we've got it wrong on immigration. We've been against them for 20 years, so it's perfectly reasonable, nay, morally responsible to do the wishes of the British people who've made their feelings plain for the last 20 years and grab 20 million arseholes, pack them onto planes and throw them out bodily, which is what Rupert's been saying. Hence, 12 hours, 10 peg in me trousers. Metaphorically. Ladies, don't get excited. I'm getting on a bit. And the coup de grace, the last thing he tweeted out was this in response to the meltdown in the media. A fair few, including many on the so-called right of British politics, have been throwing around the usual insults about the fact I said millions must go. Let me respond with 4 words. Get used to it. Restore Britain is not going to pussyfoot around. If you don't like it, unfollow me. I really don't care. The time for half measures on immigration is so far gone. It's over. It's done. That may have worked in 2010, but it's 2026 and the barbarians are already inside the gate. We will be unapologetic in our push for mass deportations. Nobody can accuse me of being inconsistent on that. Definitely not, Rupert. And the other parties had to be pathetically dragged, kicking and screaming to some mild deportation position. If you want the real authentic version, then join Restore Britain. 18,000 likes. Asmongold's tweeting these things out. Sargon's on it. Landua, all of YouTube's galvanised behind this one party. As I said, I don't think it'll be a bad thing in the long run. I think this will pull everybody else to the right. You can't just call everyone a fascist, can you? They called Boris Johnson a fascist, Farage a fascist, Trump a fascist, now Rupert's a fascist. Eventually, they're going to have to pick a fascist, aren't they? Maybe this will be good for Farage and Reform because now they'll have to switch fire to Rupert one. I do think making more noise, shining a light on the public opinion who are and have been for decades while the Conservative Party ignored us. We've been anti-immigrant loudly for 20 years. None of this can be a bad thing. Shine a light on it. And if we need to switch focus, form some mergers, vote a different way, whatever, come the actual general election, then we will do. I still don't think the normies are going to pay attention. I still think, mental as it sounds, that there's going to be a few million properly brain-dead old boomers that won't switch from Conservative. But I don't see how this is a bad thing for people that have our political opinions. And as such, please stop whinging about it. And as I said, I've never slagged Farage or Reform off. I really don't see the point in slagging off Rupert. To attack Mr. Lowe and his party just because you're worried about them splitting the vote, it's ridiculous. Attack the people you don't like. Like I've always said, why attack Farage and Reform? Where, you know, they're a bit milquetoast maybe, but so what? It's like the old adage people say, like, you know, if you only had 2 bullets in your gun and you were trapped in a room with Mao, Pol Pot and Stalin, what would you do? Why are you wasting time and effort slagging off Reform and Farage? Or Rupert Lowe? Or Homeland? Or Advance? Or Ben Habib? Why would you do that when there's so many tempting targets on the left? Why would you do that? Focus on Polanski, Ed Davey, Starmer, Lambtron, the Ginger Growler. There's plenty to pick from. You don't have to start on your own. But that's just my opinion. If you think I'm being a knobhead, please have at it in the comments. Have a good Sunday. I'll see you all tomorrow, all right? Thanks for tuning in. See you in a bit. Toodle pip.